I am proposing that Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe form one country going into the 21st century because this is in their good interest. I should say from the onset that this has been attempted before. It was called the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. Zambia was called Northern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe was called Southern Rhodesia, and Malawi was called Nyasaland. The settlers, the white people in Zimbabwe and Zambia, were looking for cheap labor. They wanted to get it from Malawi, to get labor from Malawi, and to balance out the number of hostile black people that were here in Zimbabwe and Zambia. They wanted to bring in more people from Malawi, and this was rejected, especially by the president who was in Malawi at the time, Hastings Kamuzibanda. He called it a stupid federation. These were white people looking for larger markets and to be able to draw in free labor from Nyasaland. This was opposed especially by the blacks in Northern Rhodesia and Nyasaland. So why should there be a new federation? This has been tried before. It was a bad idea in the past. Why is it a good idea now? Well, that is why you're watching this video, because I think that the federation can now work because it is being proposed by black people, for black people. The aims are not about exploitation. This federation is meant to be in the interest of the people within these countries. And then you would ask, so why is South Africa being left out here? Why is Mozambique being left out here? Why is Tanzania? Why is the Congo? Why is Angola, Botswana, and Namibia not part of this federation? Well, first of all, Mozambique, they speak Portuguese there as their official language. Yes, the peoples are the same, as you see in a minute, and they speak Swahili here. These three powers, they have the sea, access to the sea. They would not allow or lose their powers for now to take in inland countries. They make a lot of money from these countries by taxing them for having goods having to pass through their country. So Zimbabwe, you have Dar es Salaam near here. So Dar es Salaam charges Malawi for goods entering Malawi, and here is Nakala, and here is Beira, and here is Maputo. So to get goods, these countries have to pay Mozambique and Tanzania and South Africa. So these people would resist the federation. So and this one is a special country. This is a special country. They speak Portuguese here, they speak Portuguese here, and the Namibians are not too keen on regionalism. They are quiet, but we'll come to this later. So we are talking about these three countries which are familiar with each other. In fact, the same surnames can be found from here all the way to here. Moyo, Banda. You know, there are so many people who share the same. In fact, let's go straight into the into the peoples. So in Malawi we have the Lambia. The Lambia can be found here and in Zambia, and we also have the Yao. The Yao can be found here and in Mozambique, and then we have the Chewa, which is the dominant group in Malawi. They can be found in Malawi and Mozambique and Zambia. So this whole thing is a giant maze with different people cast in different places. If you go to Zambia, the dominant tribe there is the Bemba. Some people say Bemba. And here we have the Tonga in the south, the Lodzi here. Lodzi is in Chinese. Okay, so you can see that the Senga people are also found in Malawi. The Kamanga are the Tumbuka. So the Tumbuka are also found in Zambia, and they can also be found in Malawi. The same with the Tonga. The Tonga are also in Zimbabwe. The Tonga are also in Mozambique. So these countries are one and the same. If we go to Zimbabwe, you have this map of theirs here, Mashonaland. This is the Shona heartland, and in the middle this is Harare, I think. Yes, this should be Harare, and in the south this is Matebele land. So the Ndebeles are here, but there are other tribes. There are so many other tribes in Zimbabwe. Mozambique shares a lot with the countries I've just pointed out, but we should leave it away for now. So we have the Yawo, who are also dominant in southern Malawi. We have the Nyanja, who are the big tribe in Malawi. And then here we have the Senga, who are also in Zambia. We have the Tonga, who are also in Zambia. And we have the Tonga by another name. Then again, as I said, their language is different, and they've been separated from these other guys by colonialization. Let's go back to this map. So this is a giant Africa. So all the way from the Central African Republic. My proposal is that Africa, when we say South Africa, it should be the whole thing. The Republic of Congo, just slicing some places around South Sudan here, slicing all the way through Kenya to the sea. The whole of this thing should be South Africa. So why can't we have South Africa as being this one? Why first of all, why should this be South Africa? Well, because the language factor. So all this area speaks the same language, the basic same language. So let me show you what I mean. This whole orange structure, these are the Bantu language, so the Niger Congo Bantu language. So you have Lingala in the south and Chewa in the middle, Swahili here, and these are click languages, so you forget about them for a moment. But all this giant swath is just filled with people who speak the same language. Let me show you what I mean by that. I just want to give you an idea of how the different languages in Africa say the number 10. So we should start here at the base. This is exploring the Bantu languages. So we start with Xhosa here. This is the language of Nelson Mandela. How do you say 10? Shumi. So that's Shumi. That's 10. So let's keep going up from Botswana.
Lisume.
And the other one was Shumi. This is Shona. Shona is the language of Robert Mugabe in northern Zimbabwe.
Gumi. Gumi.
We are in southern Zimbabwe. This is Ndebele from Matebele land. How you say 10?
Ichumi.
We keep going up. This is Bemba in Zambia.
Ikumi.
Ikumi, that's the base. Limo also means one. So Ikumi, we are in Zambia. And this is from all the way in Congo. This is Lingala. Zumi. And this is in Rwanda. How do they say 10 in Rwanda? Way, way up, almost in the north.
Ichumi.
Ichumi. We have more. This is Kikuyu. Kikuyu is from Kenya. Ikumi. And this is Nyemba. Nyemba should be northern Namibia. Likumi. And in my own country, we say Kumi. So you can see how one this whole region is. This whole region, from the DRC, we had Lingala, all the way Kenya with the Kikuyus, and Tanzania, we have the same. Even Swahili, they say Kumi. And then in Mozambique, it's still the same. Apart from the counting, you can also just check out how they curse in these countries. So mbolo yako. Mbolo yako means you dick. This is very popular in Malawi and Zambia. Nyini yako. Nyini is vagina. You should never say nyini yako when you are in Malawi or Zimbabwe. Oh, when you are in Malawi or Zambia. Tumbuka when you are in Malawi. Choli chako. Don't you ever say choli in northern Malawi. So if you go to Congo, this is Lingala. If you say Zoba, Zoba is an idiot. Zoba is also idiot in Malawi. And you go down to South Africa, you say msunu wako. Msunu wako means your anus. In Malawi, msunu wako means your anus in Malawi. In South Africa, apparently it means your pussy. But you can see that it has got the same root. If you go to the Shonas and you just check what they have, mbolo. Mbolo means penis. In Malawi, mboli yako. Mbolo yako means your penis. This is how people curse. And you go to the Bembas. The Bembas is the same thing. Chinena means pussy. Chinena in Chichewa is also the same. Panyopako. Panyopako means your anus. Don't you ever say panyopako in Malawi or Zambia. People will kick you. Mboleako. Mboleako is Chichewa from Malawi. Nyiniako. Yako means yours. Or in Chinese we say nita. And you can see mbolo. Mbolo here, Shona, is the same thing. Mbolo in Zambia, mbolo in Malawi, mbolo all over Africa. And even Zulu, you say amasende. Amasende means testicle. You have machende in Chichewa, it's the same. And almost in Zimbabwe, someone would understand when you say this. So the language is the same, the people are the same, the problems are the same. So all these people are one. Is why you can argue for a South Africa that is from DRC all the way to the real South Africa. But then again, I am just going to focus on these three countries because you cannot get a negotiated deal for now. You cannot convince the Congolese to give up their sovereignty to join these three poor countries. For now, this can be the countries that start the unionization of quote-unquote South Africa. So why should Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe come together? They are the same culture. So for example, if you search witchcraft in Zambia, you'll find so many stories of witchcraft in Zambia. Even the army being called to quell witchcraft rumors. If you go to Malawi, it's the same thing. So for example, you have rituals involving albinos. This is something that is shared amongst these cultures. I don't support it, but I'm putting it up here for explanation. Not that it's a good thing. In the new nation that was going to be formed, these things will have to end. So if you go to Zimbabwe, it's also the same thing. They say, oh yeah, in Zimbabwe, tales of witchcraft abound. This is just to show you that these countries are very, very similar. It's like they were never separated by a distance and language at all. You know, you meet a Zimbabwean, he has the same values as a Zambian or a Malawian. The only difference will be in the language. Incredible. So another thing is that all these countries are very poor and very indebted. So for example, Zambia is hugely in debt, $9.4 billion. This is external debt. Malawi is also hugely indebted, so 61% of its GDP. And in Zimbabwe, same story. So Zambia was 9 billion, Zimbabwe is 7 billion in debt. 200% of the country's GDP. That is some sick statistic right there. These countries are very poor. So Zambia, over 60% of the population live under the poverty line, of which 40% are considered to live in extreme poverty. And then we go to Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, 71% of Zimbabwean population live in poverty. This number is going up, not down. So all these countries are very common. If you go to Malawi, how many Malawians live below the poverty line? 50%. That is 1 in 2 Malawians you meet, one of them should be poor. They are also not doing very well in terms of healthcare. So we go to HIV, for example. We start with Zimbabwe. 1.3 million people in Zimbabwe are living with HIV. That is 12% of the population. In Malawi, you have 1 million people. That is 9.2%. And in Zambia, you have 1.2 million people living with HIV. So you can see that this belt is HIV central. Their problems are almost the same. It's almost like this has always been the same country. Another thing is education in these areas. So for example, in Zimbabwe, almost all the children that are born go to primary school, but very few go to college. So if you continue, in Malawi, for example, only 80 students per 100,000 go on to go to college. This is only 0.4%. Also, if you go online, you search slums in Zambia, they are all over the place. You can see the urbanization that is happening in Zambia, especially in the mining times. You just have to replace Zambia with Malawi, and you will find the same picture. So this is Malawi, and this is Malawi in former settlements near the cities. In Zimbabwe, it's the same thing. As you can see, same style, different countries, same style, same problems, same culture, and they all speak English. That is very important. So why should Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi become one country? Well, let me explain. So number one of the biggest problems that these countries face is the idea of ethnocentrism or tribalism, you would say. So these countries are structured in such a way that there are rivalries between tribes. So to expound on this, I will show you how the people in these countries vote. So tribalism in these countries is a big issue. So let's begin with Malawi, for example. So all the people in the north will not listen to what this guy from the south has to say. They only vote as a bloc. So it is a democracy that is flawed because people vote along tribal lines. So this guy won because, as you can see, he's from this district, and all the nearby districts overwhelmingly voted for him because they feel like this is what they should do. And in the central region, this guy Chakwera is from around here, and everyone votes him. This is not unique to Malawi. If you go to Zambia, for example, the Bemba are from this side, and the Lozi are from here, and the Tonga and all those people. So there is a split right in the middle. UPND will be the winners here. PF will be the winners here. The group that has got the most people will win that election. So you can see that this is not democracy. This is tribalism. That is the problem with these countries. So here you go. Edgar Lungu, PF from the south won this one. And this one, UPND from the north, could not make it. Not because he was not heard in the south. It's just because they heard on to someone they consider their friend. What about Zimbabwe then? ZANU PF, the party of Robert Mugabe from the north. They dominated Zimbabwe since independence. They are still in power now. And MDC, the opposition party, is popular with the Ndebeles in the south. You guys know of Gukurahundi. Do you know Gukurahundi? If you don't know, now you should. Well, Gukurahundi was a series of massacres of the Ndebele carried out by the Zimbabwe National Army. This national army was dominated by the Shona. So, massive amounts of people in the south and here in Harare. So, MDC dominates the south, ZANU-PF dominates the north. And if you are MDC in the north, as they are in Harare here, where MDC took all the seats except one, Robert Mugabe was not happy. It's why so many vendors were chased away from the street side and so many demonstrations happened there, because there is a clash between Shona and Ndebele. So this is not good for democracy, not in Malawi, not in Zambia, not in Zimbabwe. So what can an alliance do? If these three countries are going to be one country. You can't be Ndebele and win just because of your Ndebele votes. You can't be a Shona guy and win the vote just because of your Shona brothers. The same with the Bembas and the Lozis, and in Malawi, the Chewas and the Tumbukas. It will mean for someone to win the presidency of this whole bloc, they have to convince the entire bloc. That is a good step towards ending ethnocentric politics. So that is a very huge advantage to put forward here. If you're going to bring genuine democracy to this area, this could be a start. Another thing is that if you join these three countries together, you're going to make a giant. These countries are poor and weak, but if they come together, they are going to be an instant giant to be reckoned with. So, for example, the population of Malawi is 18 million. The population of Zambia is 17 million, and Zimbabwe 14 million. Together, they will make 50 million people and immediately be one of the top 10 most populated countries in Africa. They will be an instant giant. You can compare with Tanzania with 56 million, South Africa with 57 million, and of course the other giants include Ethiopia with over 100 million, and so on. But yes, if you mix up these countries together, it's going to be a big African country. So if you want to negotiate trade deals, you know you're going to a huge country. Number two, if these countries come together, they can fix their issues anew. Remember, these guys have minerals. So for example, Malawi has got uranium and Zambia has got copper, famously so. And Zimbabwe has got the whole 9 yards. Also remember, these countries are sleeping giants in terms of tourism. So you have got the Victoria Falls, which is shared between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And Malawi also has some serious tourist spots. These can be developed together. So you have got minerals on one hand, tourism on one hand, which is not fully developed. You know, they don't have infrastructure, roads, railways, because they are poor. But if they get together, they can pool their resources and do some serious planning to garner and make all these resources that they have count. So, number one, you end the tribalism. Number two, you pull resources together, you negotiate as a bloc, you develop, and they can even start new cities. So, for example, I said they have a problem with slums. So if Malawians, Zimbabweans, and Zambians all come and build a new capital city around Mutare here, they will plan it well, they can start from scratch and expect a huge influx of people to come over. And remember, this is along the border with Mozambique and very close to Beira, a very important port city. That means all exports to this bloc can enter through Beira and go into this country, reducing the distances that they have to go through. For example, Malawi gets oil from Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam is way up here. So Malawi gets oil all the way from here. And they also use Nakara in Mozambique. And Zimbabwe relies a lot on South Africa. If a giant capital city can be put here, for example, stretching from here all the way to Harare and bringing all these people, they will be close to the sea. And maybe in the near future, if Namibia decides to join the Union, that means this whole country would be one, and they would have their own seafront. And then maybe Botswana, which also speaks English, joins in. That would be a killer country to reckon with. So we have Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. And then, who knows? If you have this whole block as one country, Angola might not join in, but you know, Julius Malema has always envisioned an Africa where there's like the United States. This could be it. So it can start with these three common countries and these can join. And once that happens, you know the United States of Africa is on course to happening, because once this fuses as one block, there is no reason why Tanzania wouldn't join or Angola wouldn't join, and then this whole region could be more secure. This whole region could negotiate as a bloc. This whole region could defend its seas well. You know, this region doesn't have a good navy, and there are problems of people coming to overfish along this area. If this country bands together, they can have a super navy and defend their sovereignty well. So this can be the start of a revolution, out of desperation at first, and then it can become a glorious achievement. But to do that, so many people would have to give up a lot of their prestige. So leaders in Malawi, leaders in Zambia, leaders in Zimbabwe, you know how they love power. But if they can overlook that hurdle, this could be the beginning of a big new era in this part of Africa.